welcome back to the Wasteland, everybody. Today we're going to be doing another tier list for Fallout New Vegas. And this time we're going to be taking a look at all the drinks in Fallout New Vegas. Since we talked about all the chems not too long ago, people said they would like to see a list of the drinks. Let's start out with the drinks, and we're just going to go right down the line of these. So if they're in a weird kind of order, that's the reason why, especially once we're going to go to like all these irradiated drinks. First up, we have Absinthe. Absinthe gives you +1 Charisma and +1 Perception for 240 seconds, but -1 Intelligence. This also does add to your hydration, assuming you're playing on the hardcore difficulty at +20 H2O. So this one can be a little bit useful, but honestly, a lot of like the actual booze, I usually just save to sell because they're worth a decent amount of money. So I'm going to put Absinthe in C tier. I think it's okay overall. It does give you a little bit of a bonus for something if you need to hit those particular skill checks. Then we have the Atomic Cocktail up next, which this one's pretty interesting. This one gives you +25 energy resistance and +25 fire resistance, but also gives you +10 rads when you drink it. This one also increases your thirst by 30, but it also reduces your sleep by 100, which is really good. I actually really like having these on the hardcore difficulty just to reduce the sleep, because there's not always a place where you can just go and find a bed quickly. Sometimes it's just convenient to drink these type of things rather than actually go out of your way to find the beds to sleep. So in that regard, I think it's really good. Energy resist and fire resist is pretty unique. Energy resist can be useful, like in Old World Blues, where you can get shot by the rad scorpions. The fire resist can also be useful if you're fighting fire geckos or fire ants. Those are usually the two that are going to light you on fire. Maybe if you're fighting Brotherhood or Fiends, you could also get some value out of this one. So Atomic Cocktail, I'm actually going to put up into A tier. I think it's pretty decent. And then we have Battle Brew. This is an Old World Blues. This is one that you can make, I believe, on the campfire. This one gives you +50 HP and limb condition, which is really good. It also gives you +35 damage resist for 240 seconds, -1 intelligence, +1 strength, and plus another 1 strength. The second +1 strength only lasts for 20 seconds. The other one lasts for 240 seconds, same with the intelligence. And it gives you +40 action points. This will also heal you +10 for 5 seconds, which is really good. It does add to your hydration, which isn't a huge deal. Battle Brew is awesome. This one is really, really good if you get a couple of these, because they're essentially medics with, I'm not sure what other strength kind of adds to your strength, at least by +2. So it's really good for like a melee build. +40 action points is great for a VATS build. So yeah, this thing is like S tier. Battle Brew is awesome. And then we have Beer. Beer gives you +1 Charisma, +1 Strength, -1 Intelligence, and you get a little bit more thirst added to your thirst meter, which does kind of suck. But, I mean, +1 Strength, +1 Charisma is pretty good. You can use that in a lot of situations. Even if you just to carry more stuff, Beer can be pretty good, or hit a little bit harder with melee weapons. It also has a fairly low addiction chance, only 5%. So Beer's actually pretty decent if you want to be carrying these around. I'm going to put it up into the B tier. Then we have Bitter Drink. Bitter Drink is solely for healing. This gives you +2 HP for 18 seconds. That's pretty good. That is actually one of the higher end drinks for actually healing you, so I'm going to put it up into A tier. It also doesn't weigh anything, which is awesome, so you can carry around as many of these as you'd like. Black Coffee gives you +5 HP instantly, +2 Intelligence for 60 seconds, -1 Agility, increases your hydration by a slight amount by +5, lowers your sleep, and lowers your food very, very slightly. This one's kind of a weird one, because you can keep making black coffee, and it honestly doesn't take that much stuff to make it. It also doesn't weigh very much, so it's not bad to carry these around. And if you just want to use it to get rid of the sleep, it's actually pretty good. So if you're playing on hardcore, I'd say this one's like A tier. If you're playing on anything else, it's probably less. It's probably like B or C tier. It's still okay. Then we got Blood Bags, which Blood Bags are kind of rare in New Vegas, and they don't have any perk associated with them like in Fallout 3, where if you drink a Blood Bag, you get 1 HP. That's it. It only weighs 1, but still, that's not really that good. Blood Bags really don't have much of a purpose in New Vegas, so I'd put a D tier. They're just not that great at things. I also thought that this was related to recipes. When I clicked on it, I didn't see anything that was related to recipes in the Blood Bag. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there is something for it. And I know the Blood Bags in Fallout 4 and Fallout 3 can be pretty useful, but in New Vegas, they don't really seem to be. Then we have Dirty Water. Dirty Water is one of the few things that actually gives you water, so it lowers your H2O meter, I guess, or raises it, however you want to see it. But this one does come at the cost of giving you rads. It's only 6 rads, so it's not too much, and that can be lessened by the amount of endurance you have, as well as how high your survival is, I believe. I think that affects it. I could be wrong about that. It does affect how much food and water affect you, though. So having high survival can be pretty useful on hardcore. On outside that, it does heal you a little bit. It heals you 2 hit points for 5 seconds. So that's not too bad. Dirty Water is perfectly fine. You're going to need it in the hardcore difficulty, and I would say it's A or B tier. I'm going to put a B right now. Up next, we have Dixon's Whiskey. Dixon's Whiskey you can only buy from Dixon in Freeside. And this is just worse than regular whiskey. It's the same thing with like his Jet, where it's just worse and it has a much higher addiction rate at 50%. This gives you +1 strength for 240 seconds and -2 intelligence for 240 seconds. That's terrible. It also adds to your hydration, but this is just really, really bad. Beer is super easy to find in Fallout, and you might as well take that if you want to get the +1 strength for the same amount of time. It really has no bonus, so that one's D tier. It's awful. Then we've got the ice cold Nuka-Cola, which is a little bit weird because we're going to be talking about a lot of Nuka-Cola, as you can see. So, ice cold Nuka-Cola gives you 4 HP for 20 seconds, 2 rads, 1 bottle cap, minuses your sleep, and adds a little bit to your hydration. That's pretty good. Lowering your sleep by 60 is great. That's really useful, and the health is pretty decent, as well as you are technically making money every time that you drink a Nuka-Cola. So, awesome. I'd put Nuka-Cola A tier. Then we've got all the irradiated stuff. So irradiated beer does the same exact thing as beer, where it's +1 charisma, +1 strength, but extra rads and minus intelligence. There's no real reason to be drinking the irradiated stuff in general, so a lot of this stuff is just going to end up in D tier. I'm just going to say that right now, because a lot of this stuff is not very difficult to find. None of it is so hard to find that you would actually go out of your way, because most of this you find in like Camp Searchlight. There's a couple other places around the wasteland where you can also find highly irradiated stuff too. Basically, you're never going to want to drink this. So I'm going to put the beer, the scotch, the sarsaparilla, the whiskey, and apparently we're supposed to have irradiated water here too, but maybe I didn't get that one. Either way, they're all going to go to D tier because they're just worse versions of the regular drinks anyway. So let's move on to the actual drinks. First up, we have Jake's Juice. Jake's Juice is kind of a unique drink that you can get also in New Vegas, which is kind of useful, I guess. This one gives you +1 charisma, +1 perception, -1 strength. That's all not bad. It does have +25 H2O, so you do get a little bit thirsty from this, and there's a 10% addiction rate. But if you need +1 charisma, +1 strength, it's just as good as something like the Absinthe, so it's also going to go up into the C tier. Then we have the Large Wasteland Tequila. I know a lot of these things look the same, but this one is the Large Wasteland Tequila, which gives you +3 strength, +1 charisma, and -3 intelligence for 240 seconds. It also gives you +2 damage threshold and +10 poison resist for 120 seconds, and it also adds to your hydration. That's pretty good. You can make these just on the campfires. This is technically in Honest Hearts, but you just need to have the DLC. I believe you can get all this stuff in the regular Wasteland to make this, and it's not bad. If you want to take this just to have a little bit tankier person and to also potentially get more strength to carry stuff, it's pretty decent to keep one of these on you, so I would say that this one is like B tier. It's one of the better drinks. Then we've got Moonshine. Moonshine gives you +2 charisma, +2 strength, and -2 intelligence for 240 seconds. Again, kind of like these other drinks, it's useful for the situation. I guess this one could be a little bit more useful if you just need to carry stuff or get through a speech check, but I'm still probably going to put it C tier. There's actually a decent amount of places you can find Moonshine, with Good Springs being one of them, where you can just break into the back area of the bar and steal all the moonshine there if you'd want. Then we kind of have a unique thing here with Night Stalker Squeezings. This one is in Old World Blues. You can only find it in Old World Blues. It's in a couple of the facilities, usually around chem stations. And this one is kind of strange. This one gives you +2 HP for 5 seconds, so not a lot of healing, and +2 rads. It also has a perk associated with it, with Mile in Your Shoes, which gives you +1 perception, +5 poison resist, and +5 sneak for 240 seconds. That's pretty bad, even for you needing a perk to get just the bonus from it. It is unique that you get sneak from it, but having +1 perception usually doesn't matter that much. There's a lot better ways than getting this plus a perk to get +1 perception. You could just take Mentats and you'd be fine. I'm going to put this one D tier. I really don't like the Night Stalker Squeezings. It's as bad as it is regularly, and then you need a perk to get some bonus out of it, and then the bonuses aren't even that great. Again, +1 perception usually doesn't matter. +5 poison resist also usually doesn't matter. Most things don't hit you with poison. And then +5 sneak is cool, but not worth it to go out of your way just to get a perk for it. Alright, then we've got all the Nuka-Colas. First up is regular Nuka-Cola. This gives you +2 HP for 25 seconds, and it gives you 3 rads and 1 bottle cap. It also lowers your sleep by 15. Nuka-Cola is fantastic. Probably not as good as the ice cold Nuka-Cola because it doesn't heal you as much. And maybe I should actually put the regular ice cold. I think I'll put the ice cold one up in S tier. It's honestly pretty good. Regular Nuka-Cola I think belongs in A tier because this one is pretty nice. It's really good to have these to lower your sleep on the hardcore difficulty, or to actually have pretty good healing. This is one of the better healing drinks that you can get, and you can usually find these pretty often. Them and sarsaparillas are one of the easiest things to find in this game, and they give you pretty decent healing all across the board. Then we've got Nuka-Cola Quantum, which apparently is unique to the Lonesome Road. I wasn't aware of that, but alright. This one gives you +8 rads, which does kind of suck, but gives you plus 20 action points for 240 seconds and lowers your sleep by 100. Does give you a little bit of thirst, but this one's pretty great. This one is probably better than the atomic cocktail, just for getting rid of your sleep, and for that on hardcore, I'd say this one's S tier. Because, I mean, for a VATS build, it's awesome. For just not having to sleep, it's also awesome. If you're not playing on hardcore, I'd say it's a little bit less, because it doesn't have any sort of healing with it. This is purely just for the action point bonus and the sleep. Then we've got Nuka-Cola Quartz. This one gives you plus 3 HP for 20 seconds, gives you plus 10 rads, gives you the low light vision, and gives you plus 2 damage threshold. That's also pretty good. That is a nice bonus all the way around, and it also lowers your sleep by 15, same as regular Nuka-Cola. But hey, extra bonuses to this, low light vision, kind of useful, extra HP, pretty good, not as good as the ice cold Nuka-Cola, but better than most things when you're healing, so I'm going to put this one also S tier. I think it's pretty good. Then we've got Nuka-Cola Victory. Victory gives you plus 10 rads, plus 10 action points, minus 1 perception, and 3 HP over 20 seconds. This one is also pretty good. Lowering your perception can be a little bit bad, but hey, extra healing and giving you more action points, not as much as like Quantum. Also another S tier. I like it. Then we've got Purified Water. This is the same as Dirty Water, just you don't get radiation, which makes it basically essential for hardcore difficulty. If you're not playing on hardcore, it's not as good, but it's still not bad to pick these up because they don't come at any downside and they're just free healing. So on normal, I'd say they're A tier. Hardcore difficulty, they're S tier. Then we've got a Nuka and Rum. This one gives you plus 3 rads, minus 1 intelligence, plus 1 strength, and gives you a bottle cap, as well as it lowers your sleep, but increases your hydration. This one isn't as good as the other Nuka-Colas, and it's kind of the same as like these other drinks. It does have a little bit of a bonus that it lowers your sleep, so I'm going to put it B tier, but I'm not going to put it any higher than that. Then we get over to Scotch. Scotch gives you plus 1 charisma, plus 1 strength, and minus 1 intelligence. And this is basically the same as beer, just with a slightly higher addiction rate. So I'm going to put it into C tier. I think it's the same actually as the Jake Juice. I could be wrong about that. Then we've got the Sierra Madre Martini. You can find these in Sierra Madre, and you can also get a recipe to make them, which can be pretty useful. This gives you plus 75 maximum HP. It works similar to Buff Out, where it just extends the amount of health that you get and gives you that 75 HP on top of that. It also gives you plus 4 endurance for 240 seconds and plus 2 strength. The only downside is that this has a slightly above average addiction rate at 15%, but this one is really, really good. This one makes you very tanky. I think it actually makes you more tanky than Buff Out, and you can stack this with Buff Out, so you can be super tanky that way. I'm going to put this one up into S tier. It is really good. Then we've got the Sunset Sarsaparilla. Sunset Sarsaparilla is very similar to Nuka-Cola. This one gives you plus 2 HP for 25 seconds, gives you 1 bottle cap, and you can potentially get a star cap with it, and it gives you a slight amount of hydration. Sunset Sarsaparilla is probably the best early game healing item that you can get, besides just hoarding stim packs. But even so, this makes it so you don't have to be using your stim packs. You can save them for emergencies, or better yet, you could save them to sell them because they're worth a lot and they don't weigh anything. So Sarsaparilla I'm also going to put up into S tier because I think it is one of the best. It's also probably one of the few drinks in this that I would really enjoy drinking. I feel like that and like purified water, those would be like my 2 go-to drinks in the Wasteland. Maybe the Battle Brew, maybe it's amazing, and maybe some of the Nuka-Colas could be different. Anyway, then we've got Vodka. Vodka gives you plus 1 charisma, plus 1 strength, minus 1 intelligence, but comes at 10% addiction rate. It's the same as these other drinks. It's also going into C tier. These ones are all great to have, just to pick up, if you need to get that little bit of bonus, or if you just want to sell them for money, because they do sell for a decent amount. Then we've got the Wasteland Tequila. This is an Honest Hearts, although you can also make this whenever you'd like. This gives you plus 2 strength, plus 1 charisma, minus 2 intelligence, plus 3 damage threshold. And with Whiskey Rose, that's Cassie's perk, then you can also have the plus 5 poison resist on top of it. And it also increases your H2O by plus 15, not the highest, and it has a 10% addiction rate. This is better than most of the other drinks that we've talked about. Maybe not amazing, but I'm still going to put it up into B tier. Then we have regular whiskey, which is plus 1 charisma, plus 1 strength, minus 1 intelligence, and plus 2 damage threshold with Whiskey Rose, again with Cass's perk. The Wasteland Tequila just has that normally. It's just the damage threshold gets increased if you have Cassie around. So this one less, but more useful if you are running Cass as a companion. So maybe up to B tier if you have her. I don't know why I have another Nuka-Cola here. I think this is the same as just regular Nuka-Cola, so I'm also going to put this one over here with that Nuka-Cola for some reason. The last one we're supposed to have is wine. Wine gives you plus 1 strength, plus 1 charisma, minus 1 intelligence, increases your hydration, has 5% addiction rate, so it's actually not as bad as some, but it's still probably like C tier. Not the most useful thing in the world, but hey, if you need the charisma and you need the strength, actually I think this is the same stat line as beer, so maybe I should put it up into B tier. Same as beer. I usually sell wine over beer though, because beer is super cheap and super easy to find. Wine is also pretty easy to find and not that expensive, but it sells for slightly more, so I usually keep it to just sell. And that's where I put all the drinks in Fallout New Vegas. This one was kind of an interesting one. Tell me your thoughts on the drinks in New Vegas and where you would put them. This one was fun to do. We're going to be doing food soon. And food, I think I'm going to do just based on whether or not I would try it or like it or whatever it might be in the Wasteland. I think that might be kind of fun. Tell me your guys' thoughts on this down in the comments below, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye, everybody!